Good afternoon. We're here to provide you with an update regarding current active cases in the community and, of course, of the need to remain vigilant regarding COVID-19 despite being in a green phase. So presently we have 8 active cases in the community. This is fairly new and all related to one outbreak. We also have approximately 60 people presently in isolation. So this really, again, is proof of the need to remain vigilant despite the fact that we are in a green phase and despite the fact that we've relaxed on measures. So we still feel that it's the measures that we have in place are sufficient. However, it's really important to reiterate what they are, and that's with respect to masking and distancing predominantly, especially for people who are not vaccinated. So we really urge you to go back to recent communiques and to the KMHC website regarding expectations about distancing and masking in specific public and private situations. The basic guideline is the fact that when you are with a group of individuals where you're unsure of the vaccination status or whether you're not vaccinated yourself, it is important to always wear a mask and to maintain distancing. So let's clarify a little bit about what that means, whether you're vaccinated or not. So we know that we have variants of concern circulating throughout Quebec that are only, where vaccination is only effective when we have 2 doses. So that's 7 to 14 days after the second dose. So we actually, at this time, of our 12 plus population, so 12 and up, only 44% of our community is fully vaccinated with 2 doses. Of our population that is 18 and over, 1 in 3 of our community is actually not vaccinated. So we still, although we have good rates for first doses, we still have very low rates for second doses in the community. Sometimes it's because people are not eligible or ready for their second dose yet, but other times because many of you have chosen or decided to not come in for your second dose. Mostly what we hear of is because of a fear of some of the side effects, which are flu-like symptoms that could last 24 to 48 hours. So we just, of course, don't want to judge people who choose to not be vaccinated. However, we want you to be informed and be able to make these decisions based on facts. So yes, there can be side effects 24 to 48 hours for some people. However, this is much less than the impacts of getting COVID-19 or transmitting COVID-19 to community members. So if we're just thinking about ourselves, so me as an individual, for example, who gets COVID-19, I might think if I'm not vaccinated, which I am, but if I wasn't, I might think, well, that's okay, I'm willing to take the chance. I'm willing to get sick, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm going to be fine. And I might make that decision, however, not realizing the impact. So presently, the 8 active cases are not vaccinated or not fully vaccinated. Now, the impact of that is not just on them and those 8 people. The impact is on all of the contacts who are not vaccinated, who have to self-isolate for 14 days. This means loss of pay, loss of work, loss of well-being, being isolated in a room away from family. There are huge impacts and consequences to the community because of particular cases of unvaccinated people. Again, it's not to shame those who don't want to be vaccinated, but it's just to present the facts that vaccinations work. If we look at the United States, 99% of people who new COVID-19 cases or hospitalizations are of people who are not fully vaccinated with 2 doses. In Canada right now, 95% of new cases, hospitalizations, or death, again, are of people who are not vaccinated. So we do see that vaccination works and serves to protect the community as a whole. So we're going to continue to provide you information about this recent outbreak as it evolves. As you know, as I mentioned, we have many people in isolation, but I just want to make some clarifications again about what that means. So protected versus not protected. When you are considered a contact of a positive case, public health does a full investigation, evaluating your level of risk of getting COVID or of transmitting it to someone else. If you are protected, meaning it's 7 to 14 days past your second dose, so you've had 2 doses, you are considered protected, and therefore you do not have to self-isolate for 14 days, even if you've been a contact of a positive case. So again, that's another reason why 2 doses is extremely important. If you've had only 1 dose, perhaps months ago that was enough to protect you from COVID-19, but with new variants that have emerged and that will continue to emerge over the coming months, 1 dose is not enough. Therefore, if you only have 1 COVID-19 dose, you are not considered protected and you still need to self-isolate if you're a contact of a positive case. This is really important information. I want to specify that our local public health team at KMHC follows the INSPQ guidelines regarding management of contacts of COVID-19 cases. We follow it to the letter. So some people have mentioned to us that they've received conflicting information from, let's say, regional public health, so public health in Chateauguay or Lachine or elsewhere, compared to us. I just want to remind the community that we follow the directives to the letter. They change on a regular basis, so what you were told by public health last month or last week may be completely different from what is spoken about today. These things change on a regular basis. We keep up to date, and if any of you would like to question or see for yourselves what the current guidelines are for management of contacts of positive cases, then we'll be happy to provide you with the documentation from INSPQ. You simply have to ask for it. But what I urge you to do is to follow the directives that our local KMHC public health team provides to you, because our only goal is to protect you and protect the community. And if you choose to not listen or follow the directives because you may have heard something different in weeks before, then you're choosing to not protect those around you. So we urge you to listen to your local public health team, who only have the best interest of the community at heart and who have been doing this for the past year. So please take what they say to you as important and as a required, not just as a recommendation. So I also want to remind the community of the importance of being tested when you have COVID-19 symptoms. If you have COVID-related symptoms and you're walking around the community without being tested and without being in isolation, then you are putting others at risk. Remember, only 44% of people 12 and up are protected. Our younger children under 12 are not protected. They're not vaccinated. 1 in 3 adults are not protected. Therefore, we still have risk of being hospitalized, of death. Until we increase our vaccination rates, we are still at risk in the community. So if you have COVID-19 symptoms, it is your duty to get tested. We urge you to be tested at our local site. We're open on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can call extension 2275 or 2296 for an appointment. We get results much more quickly if you get tested at our site, because the results are inputted directly into our system, and we're able to control the outbreak as quickly as possible when you get tested with symptoms, because that allows us to make important decisions about how to manage outbreaks. Also, if you are unsure about public health measures, you've been contacted, you forget, you're not sure what you're supposed to do, you question, please call us, KMHC Public Health. We have 2 phone numbers that you can contact, 438-836-5278 or 438-836-4853. That's our local public health team. You can contact those numbers if you have questions about measures that you've been asked to follow, and we're going to release this information in a communique before the end of the day so that you have access to it. So again, the main pillars. So we're really in a very good place right now. We've relaxed measures, we're getting back to our regular day-to-day lives, but in order for us to maintain this, in order for us to keep this level of safety within the community, we still have a responsibility to follow public health measures. That means masking when we're with groups of people that are not vaccinated, or if we're not vaccinated, we should always wear a mask when we're with other people. That means getting tested when you have symptoms and staying home, not going to eat in restaurants, not going to play in the park, staying home when you have symptoms. And that means following the directives of public health as they're stated to you when they contact you and when you're a contact of a positive case. If we do these things and we think of ourselves and of others, our families, then we can continue on this track that we're on of releasing measures. So thank you. We really appreciate you following through so that we can stay where we're at. Oh. Now Lloyd's going to speak to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll be brief this afternoon. I just want to emphasize a few points that Lisa had mentioned, as we are talking primarily about the public health side of the current recovery phase. Lisa does take the lead on that area along with the local public health team. But it is important to realize that, as she said, they have been doing this for well over a year, and they are our local experts and give proper guidance throughout the whole entire pandemic, and will continue to do so throughout the recovery phase. As we said previously, when we had our last official COVID-19 update, and we did move into a green level alert, which you'll see on the screen, and is minimal. But we also emphasized and underscored the fact that this goes green does not mean the pandemic is over. And I think what we're witnessing in our community now is evidence of that, that we still have a level of risk in our community, that we still got to remain vigilant and still follow local public health measures. And there is an important note that we have to look at, and maybe just for people to understand it. And again, there's a lot of information on our Facebook page and through other communiques and websites. But there could be differences if you look at your private residence, how you conduct yourself in your private residence, and who you allow in your home, vaccinated, unvaccinated, when people are comfortable outside without masks or inside, and how you want to do that. To a large part, we obviously recommend and ask people to be vigilant and be safe. But how you conduct yourself in the privacy of your own home is not something that we're going to stick our nose in, so to speak. But publicly, when you're out in public and involved in the community, the rules may be slightly different. So you are still required to wear a mask when you're indoors in any public setting, whether you go to the grocery store, whether you're going into a workplace or such. You still need to be wearing your mask. And then again, also, your workplace, whether you work for an organization or a community business, there may be additional measures that are required upon you to be able to conduct your job and your work in a safe environment, whether that's to protect yourself or because you may be in contact with many people, so you may have additional measures that you have to maintain. So we're comfortable where we're at right now in terms of measures. We did release the phase 4 last Friday, and we did say it's going to be reassessed as we move forward. But I could confirm today that the current phase 4 measures and the current public health measures will remain status quo until July 23rd. So that's a week and a half roughly from today, and at which time they will be reassessed, and there may be some changes made at this time. But as we speak today, the status quo will remain as we see it today. One important note also is the requirement for businesses to maintain a registry. So if businesses are aware of this, but we want to make sure that it's kept accurate. So if you're going to eat at a restaurant, for example, that is important that you are documented, your name and the number, in case there is a need for contact tracing, that it is much easier for our local public health team to be able to contact you to identify if if you need to isolate or such. So if you arrive at a place and there is no registry being taken place, I encourage community members to ask, to have your name listed so that we could, or public health, I should say, could contact you if need be. So, just to recap very quickly, the current measures in place will be extended till July 23rd. It's certainly unfortunate that we do have an outbreak in the community, but it wasn't totally unexpected, but it is numbers that we weren't really expecting throughout this outbreak. So remain vigilant, remain careful, and I'll continue to follow local public health measures. And Lisa wants to come back and say a few more words. So here she is.
Sorry, it's been a while since we've done this, so we're out of practice. So since I spoke so much about vaccination, I did want to give information about how you can get vaccinated, even though we no longer have the main vaccination site open at this time. So presently on reserve, we do have Moderna doses available. So if you wish to have your first dose, please call KMHC at extension 2295 and leave your name and phone number, and we will contact you to organize vaccination. Also, the Kahnawà Sports Complex will be our new vaccination site, will be opening on July 28th and 29th with Pfizer. We'll primarily be doing second doses for people who receive Pfizer, so mostly for the 12 to 17-year-olds. But if you do want a first dose at that time, we can make arrangements for that as well. On July 30th, we'll also be doing second doses of Moderna for those who received Moderna as a first dose and who are past their 28-day mark. But again, for people who want a first dose, we can do it there as well. So there are 3 ways that you can be vaccinated at this time. Following that, we'll be announcing a few other dates, always for second doses, and as we need to do less and less and less, we will no longer be offering that within the community. One last way that you can be vaccinated is to go to the pop-up walk-in vaccination sites around Montreal, and you can find that information on the Quebec.ca website. They will always be open to you for vaccination. However, it is nice, and people have stated that they do feel comfortable getting vaccinated here in Kahnawà. So those are ways that you can be vaccinated if you so wish. So thank you for following up on that. And I think that's it for today. Again, we'll be back to keep you posted as things evolve. And please watch for Kahnawà 911 for any communiques that we would like to release that have all of this information accessible to you. Thanks.